Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing and granting my request to participate. The draft legislation before us it touches on many issues, and I want to continue to explore a topic brought up by my colleague, actually the two last questioners, Mr. Butterfield, but in particular, the critical issue that has been omitted from the draft, rental car safety. In 2004, two young sisters, Rachel and Jacqueline Hauk, were killed when their rented Chrysler PT Cruiser caught fire and crashed. The sisters were returning home after visiting their parents just outside my district in Ojai, California, and had no idea that the car they were driving was subject to a safety recall that had not been fixed nor acknowledged before the rental company gave them this car. Despite receiving the safety recall notice a month before renting them the car, the rental company failed to get the free safety repairs done. While federal law prohibits car dealers from selling new cars subject to recall, there is no similar law to stop rental car companies from renting out dangerous recalled cars. This is a clear safety oversight and one that can and must be fixed, and that's why, as has been acknowledged, I introduced bipartisan legislation, H.R. 2198, with my colleagues Walter Jones, Ms. Schakowsky, Mr. Butterfield, to close this loophole. Our common sense bill would simply fix federal law to prohibit rental car companies from renting or selling recalled cars. Bill is strongly supported by the rental car industry, consumer safety groups, General Motors, Honda, and others. The bill did pass the Senate as part of the DRIVE Act, and Change.org petitioned to pass the bill recently started by Rachel and Jackie's mother, Callie Hauk, has been signed by nearly 150,000 consumers across the country. Yet I'm disappointed this issue is not even mentioned in the draft we're considering today. Administrator Rosekind, I know NHTSA and the administration have been working to address this important issue. Does NHTSA support legislation to prohibit the rental of recalled vehicles?
Yes.
Yes or no? Opponents of the bill erroneously claim that H.R. 2198 legislation would not improve consumer safety. Given NHTSA's support for banning the rental of recalled vehicles, I think it's clear that you perhaps disagree with this assessment. Would you briefly elaborate? Thank you.
New, used, or rental vehicles that have a known defect should be remedied before they're on the road.
Thank you. Despite the broad support behind H.R. 2198, the auto manufacturer and dealer groups are fighting against this common sense effort. Under pressure, the Alliance of Auto Manufacturers instead proposed a potentially very harmful alternative that only requires rental companies to disclose that the vehicle is under recall before renting it out. Their proposal only prohibits the rental of recalled cars with do not drive notices, as was referenced, despite the fact that such notices represent only a tiny fraction of safety recalls. Administrator Rosekind, last year NHTSA provided a letter to Senators Boxer and McCaskill expressing its opposition to the Alliance proposal. Would you elaborate on why NHTSA believes this proposal would fail to protect rental consumers?
I will repeat to be clear, new, used, rental, if it has a defect, it should be off the road. And as we were discussing, the do not drive is determined by the manufacturer of the defect, not NHTSA. And it's very rare.
Thank you for clarifying that and making it, really underscoring it. Some opponents of H.R. 2198 have argued that many NHTSA recalls are frivolous because so few of them come with do not drive requirements. Does NHTSA issue frivolous recalls? By definition, aren't all safety recalls due to serious safety risk?
Yes, and we have a specific investigation process to determine those defects.
Thank you. And I will yield back my time, but before doing so, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a November 2014 letter from NHTSA to Senator McCaskill outlining the agency's response to the Auto Alliance proposal. And I yield back the balance of my time.